So as we're getting ready to start, for anyone that has not been to my class before, and I'm seeing some new names here, so welcome. Just a couple of things to know about our practice. So I'm going to teach you standing, but you can also practice in a chair. And if anyone feels, I actually want to invite any of you that have easy access to a chair, you can move over and keep near where you're practicing. That's not like a soft, cushy chair, but more like maybe a folding chair or just a chair that has a little support in it that you're not going to kind of sink down into. And what else? So we practice barefoot generally or with socks. If you have socks on, make sure you have some traction under your feet. And you can do it in shoes, but I'm going to be talking a lot today about grounding, and that we can get a better sense of grounding when we actually don't have shoes on. So with everything I say, you listen to yourself and what works for you. Okay, so, all right. So let's get started with class. And so I'm Ellen Shapiro. I welcome you all again to Qigong for Beginners. Let me start the recording on Zoom here. All right, very good. And welcome back to those who've been in my class, and special welcome to everyone and to those who are new. And what I do in this class is I give you a little introduction. There's a very short slide explanation of Qigong, what it is, what it's good for, some basic things about it, and then we'll get moving. So, yeah. All right, everybody is muted. And let me go to my slides, get those open. Oh, it always does that. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Put it in presentation mode, and then I'm going to share the screen with all of you. All right, here we go. Okay. And I don't know why this seems to happen on Zoom sometimes. We're having some little background sound, so let me mute you all out again. Yeah, okay, good. So you're all on mute, and when you have a question or anything you need to ask, you unmute yourself. And right now, as we're getting started, if you have any kind of Zoom or technical questions, type it into the chat where Lena from Get Set Up can help you. Okay. All right. So why does this do this? All right. All right. So Qigong is our topic for today. And for those that have, like when you look at the word, it's spelled with a Q, which is odd for English speakers. It's pronounced Qigong, and sometimes you might see it spelled like C-H-I. It's the same word. It's an ancient healing art from China. I'll explain more in a minute. Then why practice it? What are the benefits? And who can do Qigong? Which the answer to that is basically anyone who can move. Some basic principles. And the goal of this class is to give you an experience of Qigong, to understand it, a little bit with your mind, like what are we actually doing here? And then something that, like as you're going through, pay attention to the different things we do and which ones felt really good for you, and keeping in mind something that you can do on your own. A recording will be available. And you do have to request it by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. Okay, so what is Qigong? It's a healing movement art from China. And the idea of movement as healing is a little different for us. I mean, we might think of going to physical therapy and knowing that that's healing, but Qigong is movement for healing. It's actually part of traditional Chinese medicine, and it's even being practiced in hospitals there, along with the other things. Sometimes they'll have Western medicine, Chinese medicine, herbs, acupuncture, and Qigong. It's that powerful. So what does the word mean? So the first part is Qi, and Qi is our energy, our vital energy, our life force. It's the energy that fuels all the functions of our body, everything from thinking to sleeping to cell renewal and repair, digestion, all of those things. So that's the first part, is the Qi. And then the word Gong means work, or like the building of the Qi. So we could say Qigong is like a workout for your Qi, which is a little different than a workout in the gym, which you'll discover in a minute. So we're building our vital force, and this is great for so many reasons. I'll explain that in a minute, but just to say, who can do Qigong? Qigong is really perfect for older bodies because it's gentle and low impact. And it's perfect for anyone that has weak legs or is recovering from an injury, or for whatever reason, it's better for you to practice in a chair. You can get great benefit that way. So it doesn't seem to matter how many times I say it, because our culture says, always push yourself, no pain, no gain. But Qigong is about less is more, and it's about moving in a relaxed way where your body feels safe. So you'll discover as we do this, some of you may know already, okay, I've got, like, if you've got bad arthritis in your knees or something really going on with your legs, you definitely should start practice in a chair. If you're not sure, that's okay. We have a chair nearby and you can experiment with it. So Qigong offers, the Qi is what supports our health. So it works on so many levels, and sometimes the Qi, when we get the Qi flowing, which is what we're about here, we may find an improvement in something that we weren't even really focusing on. So when I started practicing Qigong, I was coming off a knee injury, and I really had to practice in a chair. And eventually I got stronger. I would practice in a chair, stand up for a little bit, go back to the chair, until eventually I could do the whole thing standing. So the obvious thing that was getting better was my overall strength and my legs. But other things started to get better, like my hands and feet, which were always cold. Now they're pretty much warm, unless I'm like really in some freezing temperature. Didn't expect that. And even like a kind of low level of depression that I'd had probably most of my life, it was just gone. So that's the beauty of Qigong. I can't say what it's going to do for you specifically, but it will make you healthier and calmer. It boosts your immune system, which is another thing we're all concerned about right now. So one of the things that's nice about Qigong is that it will give you gentle energy, not like the coffee energy that, like, you know, really like kicks you and then you drop. It's gentle and more balanced. So it gives you energy, but it also helps you relax. And again, if you're recovering from anything, any kind of injury or illness, if you're dealing with a chronic condition, just the stress of life, this can be really great for you. Okay. So Qigong is Chinese medicine. The principles, so the same principles apply in Qigong as do in general Chinese medicine, with the overall idea that when the Qi is flowing freely, that gives us more health and energy. When the Qi is stuck, and it can get stuck in a place of injury or illness, it can get stuck in certain places because of our posture. So if we're always walking around like this, the Qi is going to get stuck up here. It's not going to flow freely between your brain, your spine, and the rest of your body. Another principle is grounding and moving from your roots. And I'm going to talk a little bit more. I focus in this, even though I'm teaching this beginner's class regularly, I want to focus on different things in each class.
Pressure, headaches.
Time to mute you all out again. Okay, it seems to be all right now. So today I'm going to talk more about grounding and moving from your roots and what that means. Moving with awareness. So becoming aware of how am I holding my body? Am I holding my breath? Am I tensing up? When you tense up, you're using energy unnecessarily. Usually you don't realize you're doing it, but that also blocks the flow of chi. And finally, moving in a relaxed way. And the 80% rule is simply about we don't ever go completely to 100% of our capacity. So rather than lock the arms by stretching straight, we keep a little bend in it. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen share now. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay. And I'm going to mute you all out again. So this happens sometimes with Zoom where people just get unmuted. I don't know why. So please try and be mindful of that if you happen to notice that your little red microphone line goes away and then you're unmuted. You can mute yourself too. Okay, so we're going to come up to standing and start moving. All right. Here we go. We all again. Wow. It just won't stay muted. Okay, very good. So sometimes I like to start. Why is it? It's very blurry. Check my camera connection. Okay, that seems to be better. So just a simple way of bowing in is just acknowledging, okay, we're stepping into Qigong practice. And we imagine that we're in a big room together, even though we're all on Zoom and we're in different places. And I usually say this, I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in case you're wondering where I am. And we imagine that we're entering a room together. And as we cross the threshold, we're saying, okay, this is a special time. I'm eliminating distractions. I'm moving into the class. And I'm going to give my full focus and attention to the class. And I understand it's a little harder to do when we're at home and there's distractions so that's another thing is Qigong teaches you concentration and focus. So this is really good. It's a good practice in a lot of ways for your mind. So let's just do a simple bow, hands on top of your thighs, excuse me, and just bowing in. Welcome to our practice. Okay, so let's just do some warm-ups just to get the chi flowing and make it easier to move. So let's do shoulder hunch like that. And let's add a chin. So like pushing the chin out and forward and then lowering the chin back and the shoulders come down. This is a turtle neck stretch. So think of a turtle sticking its head out of the shell like that, right? So hunching up, stick that chin out and tuck the chin back in, lower the shoulders. Always listening to your own body and doing it smaller if you need to than what I'm showing you. And as we go, you'll see there are times when I might be doing a movement that your body is saying, I don't think that's good for me. I'm not, like, please don't make me do that. If you feel anything like that or you're not sure, when that happens, what you do is you use the power of visualization, and they've shown that it actually will give you benefits. So if I'm reaching like up here with my arm is, notice I'm also not completely straight. There's a little bend, but if that's your shoulders are tight and it's hard for you to come up here, you go down here. If you're really immobile in your shoulders, you don't do it, you imagine yourself, picture your arm like that. And over time, that will actually build more flexibility in. Okay, we did shoulders. Let's do a little bit more for our neck. And always being gentle with your neck because it's, small, fragile bones there. And it's holding up a very heavy head. Our head weighs a lot. So just gently tilt to the side. So I'm tilting my right ear towards the shoulder and back up. Other way. Just gentle, no force. Feeling where it goes naturally. One more. Good. And let's do, this is an interesting one for the neck. So just for a test, just notice. So when you turn your head, keep your chin level, turn to the right, and just notice again, no forcing, but where does your head stop? Just notice where that is, mark it in the room, and go to the left. Check that out. All right, so that's your baseline. And now, I'm not quite sure how this works, but just fold one arm over the other, doesn't matter which one. And what you're going to do now is without turning the face or the head, just the arms are going to go to the side. We'll do 10 of these. So, and not far like that. Notice my torso stays front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we'll do the same thing in the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then relax. And just again, now notice. So turn your head and see if you have any more range of motion. Can you look further back? Like for me, I was here. Now my head can go like that. It's pretty amazing. And other side. Just observing how it is now. So, this is a warm-up, but if you like that or you tend to have a lot of tightness in your neck, keep that one in mind. Okay, we did shoulders. Let's do a little bit more for opening up the shoulders. So my hands are going to come up like this with the palms forward and then coming down. So I turn the palms and come down. Inhaling, exhale. And if this is hard, you do very small like that. And sometimes we also move more slowly than you might be used to doing. Yeah, okay, now we're going to go a little faster and a little higher with the same movement. So again, if you have arthritis or you need to keep it, just keep doing the smaller, slow version. Everybody else, just join me. So lifting up with an inhale, exhaling down, lifting the chi up in the body. And you'll hear me sometimes make sounds on the exhale. You're all on mute, so you are welcome to do that if you like. Okay, letting that go. Okay, let's do a little hip opening. So we'll do some medium circles with our hips here. So I'm just going to go to the right. Doesn't matter, you can go left too. Most of these things doesn't matter whether you start left or right, as long as you get both sides. So I'm doing a pretty small circle. Notice my feet are a little bit apart, not super wide. And especially if you're sitting a lot, which a lot of us are, you need to do some hip opening every day. Okay, let's go the other way. And there are other stretches you can do, but this is a nice one to do. I'm noticing, again, moving with awareness. Part of that is noticing, is there any difference? Usually one side is more open than the other. Okay, good. Let's do a calf stretch. So for this one, you don't have to have a chair, but I like to have a little bit of support here. You can do it just standing, but I'll demonstrate with the chair. So I'm going to take my left foot, stretch it back, not like crazy far like that. It's not a lunge. So just to here, and I have a little bend in the standing leg, my right leg. And then I'm just going to gently stretch the calf and lower the heel back. So I lift the heel up, stretch it back, and you should be feeling this in your calf. And one of the reasons I'm pretty fanatical, maybe that's too strong a word, but calf stretches are really important to prevent, for a lot of reasons, help us with walking, and also to prevent plantar fasciitis. If you've ever had that, it's really terrible. I've had it 3 times. Okay, so this is a prevention for that. And now take the other foot. Okay, so I bring the foot back and I start to lower the heel. And if your heel doesn't go down all the way, don't force it. Coming up. And the standing leg, again, you have to bend a little bit. And you can play with where you put your leg to get a different stretch. Find what's right for you. All right. Good. One more just to open up. This will open up our knees and ankles. And since I've said I wanted to talk about grounding, let me say a little bit more about that. So what do I mean by grounding? So that means we can feel our feet and our lower body, and there's a sense of being connected to the earth, or at least to the floor underneath you. When people are ungrounded, they can be, it's actually kind of, it can make you more anxious and nervous and less stable physically in your balance, and also emotionally and mentally. So somebody who's very ungrounded, their energy tends to be maybe up in their head more, or they're always in the future or in the past. They're not here. And they can be thrown so easily by anything coming at them. Somebody yells something, or some crazy thing happens on the news, or someone close to us gets sick, which all of these things are upsetting. But can we bounce back? Can we find our center, or do we just get lost in our thoughts and our anxiety, and where we get very reactive? So that's part of the reason why the grounding is important. Another reason is that we don't really understand a lot of things in Western culture about energy. But if you think about where does all of life come from, it comes through the earth, right? It comes through plants that grow in the dirt. It comes through, if you eat meat, it comes through the animals that were fed by the plants. So we really need that connection to the earth to remember where life comes from. And that's one of the things I love about Qigong. It's very connected to the natural world. The cycles of nature remind us that things are always being born, growing, maturing, blossoming, harvest time, and then, the end of the fall, the leaves come down. There's a cycle of death and rebirth. And it's not just like one time, right? We are always going through this. Our cells are regenerating every minute. So Qigong helps us connect to that flow of life. And we can do that through our connection to our feet. So just feel them, just to do a simple grounding exercise. Before we change anything, just notice, do I feel pretty stable where I am? Do I maybe you need to adjust your stance a little wider, or just notice. And can I feel my feet? Can I feel my lower body? Or I feel kind of more like I'm not that aware of it. And you can get ungrounded just from sitting a lot, not walking enough, not using your legs. But our legs are also really important for strength, right? That we have the biggest, most powerful muscles are our thighs. Okay, so just feel your grounding, level of grounding right now. Whatever it is, it's okay. We improve from wherever we are. And now rock forward onto the balls of your feet and back onto your heels. Just a little bit, not a big, just a subtle shift back and forth. Yeah. So this helps us to just get more awareness of the bottoms of our feet and where they're meeting the floor. And then spread your toes out a little wider. And you want to align so that the side of your feet, the outside edge of your feet is parallel. You start there. And then as we're doing Qigong, you may find that you need to turn your feet out a little bit more. Okay, let's do just a little bit. So this is both a warm-up and a grounding exercise. So I'm going to root down. I'm going to like imagine when I say root, I have tree roots growing down from the bottom of my left foot into the earth. And then I'm going to lift my right heel up and I'm going to start turning it around. So I'm moving from my knee, but you can see how my ankle's also in there. And to add to the grounding, I'm going to press down into the ball of my right foot, really feel where it's making contact. Yeah, very good. Other way. And we also lose our grounding by always going around in shoes, which disconnects the bottom of our feet, even though, of course, it's the practical thing to do. We don't want to be walking out in the public barefoot, most of us. Okay, let that go. And now I'm going to stand firmly and root into my right leg, lifting my left heel. Good. And let's just do a little bit for warming up our whole legs and our knees. So rub your hands together. And just doing this actually builds qi in the body. And when you're feeling the qi, the energy, it often will feel like warmth. And now just push that warmth down into your knees. And you can circle all around. You can go behind, just above, just below, really getting into those knees. All right. We are ready to move into some more Qigong. Just going to do a time check here. Okay. And it's totally up to you, but you will see me sometimes take water during class, so you want to stay hydrated. Okay. Let me just tune in here for a second. Okay, so I'm actually going to start our practice with some sound healing. So let me show you the movement, and we're going to make a sound together. And the sound is, so Qigong has, it's a system really of self-care and self-healing. The primary thing in Qigong is moving. There's also some stationary postures where you just stand in one place and you hold a form there, and self-massage and sound healing. All of these things are working together. So let's do some simple sounds. First we'll do the upper body and then we'll do the lower body just to balance it out. So get your feet a little bit wider here. Okay, and then we always keep a little bend. We never want to lock the legs like that. There's a little bend in the knees. And just watch the movement first, and then I'll show you the sound. So I'm going to inhale, sinking down a little bit more in the knees, bending the knees a little more. And at the shoulder height, the hands turn, come up overhead, the hands meet overhead, and they come down to here. And in this position, notice my hands are not on my body. They're a little bit out. Okay, from here, we're going to make the sound of Ong, like O-N-G. And we're going to take in a deep breath and make the sound on the out breath. The sound of Om. We'll do that 3 times. And so this is for energizing your upper body. So some people are more sensitive and might feel like, oh, I can feel that. Like I feel more energy up here. And even if you don't feel it, just keep that intention that we're energizing our upper body. Okay, let's do the whole thing together. So inhale, exhale, turn the hands. Once more, inhale overhead. Okay, coming down, and we'll do the sound of Om. So I've been chanting for many years, so I have a pretty long breath. If you run out of breath while I'm still toning, you can either just stop and listen, or you can take another breath and continue on. Okay, so here we go. Deep breath in. And in between, you can just take a little breath too. All right, another deep breath in, vibrating the upper body. One more time. And notice if you're starting to lock your legs or hunch your shoulders, relax. And lower the hands. Notice how that felt. These are Tibetan healing sounds. And now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use a different sound. And this is the sound of ah, and this is for the lower body. So feel the sound vibrating in your belly, your pelvis, your legs, down into your lower legs and feet. So we start the same way, inhaling, lifting, turn the hands, exhaling, inhale, hands come down. And now, because we're emphasizing the lower body, we turn the hands down. And it might feel a little sort of strange and awkward to turn your hands like this. That's okay. Then try and relax your shoulders. All right, we're going to do the sound of ah. So deep breath in. Another breath, and being aware if you're starting to tighten up your belly muscles at all or your pelvic muscles, let them relax, because we want to send the energy down and connect with the earth. Once more. And relax your arms. Put your left hand just below your navel, cover it with the right. Close your eyes and just observe the effects of that chanting. Whatever you notice, whatever you don't notice, it's okay. Good. So a little sound healing for today. And now I'm going to lead you through a Qigong series of movements that are for calming the nervous system. All of Qigong has that effect, but this is specifically designed for that. So let's see. And I just want to invite you all, as you're checking in with yourselves and seeing how it's going so far. We haven't been doing anything that strenuous. However, a lot of us are not used to practicing standing with your body weight in one place. So if you're starting to feel tired or even strained a little bit by this class, and your mind says, well, I shouldn't even be feeling that way. Don't analyze it. Don't just say, you know what? I want to practice in a chair. And feel free to do that. Because sometimes people at the end of class say, I wasn't really sure. And I say, if you're not sure and you're thinking about it and you're thinking it would make it easier for me to relax, then kind of like fight against this, because Qigong is doing a lot on a subtle level. It doesn't look like much from the outside, but it's quite an internal workout. So, all right, let us begin. And so my feet are a little wider here. And just to say a little bit more about the stance, the goal is that when you bend your knees, the knees are coming out over your toes. If you're bending your knees and your knees are coming in, like sort of towards the arch of your foot, that we don't want that. So you might have to adjust the width of your feet or the angle, like turn them out more if you need to. Sometimes it's just a mindfulness thing of like, you might have a habit of coming down and be like that. And you're like, wait, no, I'm going to kind of energize my inner thighs and make sure my knees are going over my feet. And that's to protect your knees. So, okay, so let's begin. So let's come into standing at stake. This is a standing meditation. And my knees are a little bent. My shoulders are relaxed. My palms are facing my chest. If this is a strain on your shoulders, lower the hands a little bit. It can be here. It can even be down here. All right. Let go of that. And now we're going to start this movement. We're just going to go up and down with our hands parallel a little bit just to feel. And we imagine that there's a pillar of some kind between our hands. And now we'll move into the first movement, calm the waters. So we come out. And this is a small version of something I teach in other classes. Coming back to here, the hands are facing each other. They come up to about here. And sliding our hands down like a marble pillar. Very, very calming form here. And you can, on this part, bend your knees a little bit and sink down more. Then as the hands come back, the legs come up. And for now, don't focus on the breath, like when should I, just breathe naturally. And the best form of breathing usually is in and out through the nose. It's more relaxing. But if we're breathing and we want to let go of tension, then we exhale through the mouth. But for now, just inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And your own rhythm of when to breathe in and out. Let's do a few more in silence, just feeling the form. Okay, from here, we'll move into the next form, and this is also a simple one called waxing lungs. So I come in, and now for this one, since we're working with the lungs, I give you some directions for the breath. So inhale, as the hands open, as you exhale, the hands just come towards each other. We're expanding the lungs, the breath, so breathe into that area. Expanding on the inhale, contracting on the exhale. Let's do one more time. Inhaling and exhale. Okay, now let's move into sifting. So bring your hands down here. And again, remembering that our goal is moving with relaxation. Notice, is my shoulders stiff or my arms stiff? Can I just relax them? Is my hands stiff? It's not a big movement. It's just more of an inner shift of like, let me just soften here. Yeah, good. Okay, we're going to do some sifting now. So as always, you can watch me do the first one and then join me, or you can just come in right away. So I bend the knees as the hands come up. Exhaling, hands move down. And continuing, inhaling, lifting the hands. Exhaling, hands move down. And why is this called sifting? So we're working with the yin and yang, these principles of polarity. So the yin is towards the earth. Here's our yin stance. Now our hands are yang. And now, because they're lifting up, then as I move the hands down into the yin field, my legs rise towards the yang. So there's a lot of different meanings to yin and yang, but right now we're just simply working with the up and down direction. So yin, because it's down, is more about connecting to the earth and that grounding. And we're moving in opposition too. So as I sink the legs down, the hands rise. As the hands lower, the legs rise. All right. Good. Let's move into our next form. This is called walking the bear. So bring your hands, like my index fingers come together, thumbs pointing down, and then turn it so it's flat. And you're going to turn your whole body, starting on the left side, and you can turn your left foot a little bit, and then open the hands, and we imagine we have this ball between our hands, and we're moving with the ball. In fact, I'm going to just show it to you with the ball, since I happen to have one right here. But the ball was actually probably, in your imagination, should be maybe a little bigger than this. Okay, so here, it's like this. But you're just moving an imaginary ball of energy. And then again, just to show you with the ball, you don't need to get a physical ball. See how I'm holding my hands like I'm holding onto this? I turn, and now. So I'm going to put the ball down. All right, coming back to center, let's start again. So that was just demonstration. And the ball's a little bigger than that green ball I was just using. And as though I'm holding it, right, I turn and I carry it to the other side. And this forward knee has to bend a little bit. The other foot is turned in, into the earth. Very, very grounding form, walking the bear. And imagine a bear walking in a lumbering way. It's just kind of moving slowly, close to the ground. That's the feeling, even though bears can go really fast. In this metaphor, we're talking about just maybe it's just coming out of hibernation, kind of like we are, right? Yeah. And I'm not pouring my body over. I'm staying pretty straight. It's really the hands and the legs is where the movement comes from. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do one more here. Okay, coming back to here and bring your feet a little closer together and then cover. Dantian settling is left hand just below the belly, right on top. Close your eyes and observe. How are you feeling now? Okay. So let me tune in and see what would be best to do right here. Okay, what I'm going to do now actually is invite, if there's any specific questions, like something people want to know about what we already did, or a request for, could you show us something for, sometimes I can help with that. Sometimes there's other things I can suggest that are not really part of Qigong. But I just want to invite you, so if anyone has a question, either about, for me to review what we just did, or request, go ahead.
This is Verna. Yeah. I have to remind myself to let my shoulder relax because I find myself doing this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. What can I do to, I mean, other than if I forget to say, relax, shoulders, 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 you know,
Right. It's just, I understand that. I mean, even now, after years of practicing Qigong, I can find myself doing it. So it's a retraining. So just be kind to yourself and just, you know, maybe like on your, some of it is just a habit, right? Like when we're concentrating, we're kind of, we've got mental energy going on and we're like, so sometimes it's from concentrating and sometimes it's just like, we've been going around like this for many years. You know, there's like a lot of reasons we develop these patterns. So take some retraining to remind ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why for people that have come to my class, like sometimes I think, do I have to keep saying that? It's like, yes, I have to keep reminding people because otherwise the old habit takes over. So just be gentle with yourself and maybe in between classes, just doing some more shoulder relaxation. Like this is just a good one like that. And sometimes stopping during the day and even just noticing, wow, you know, like things and certain things will make us get that way too. Like certain, being on the computer, we tend to lean forward. We tend to be like that. So sometimes on the phone, you know, so, but it's a great question.
Sometimes I don't remember it until I hear you say, you know, relax it. And then I say, yeah, relax shoulder.
Yeah, and that's why I did, and that's why I do it. And sometimes I'm listening to myself and reminding myself too. So it's a great question, and it's kind of an ongoing process. It will become more natural as time goes on, but like I said, I still forget. And that's a big one. The shoulders is a big place for a lot of people. And also, you know, like life, like feeling responsible, we're shouldering a lot of responsibility. So we develop those patterns. The other place where we tend to do that is with our feet. So just every now and then shake them out or move them, stretch them. but it's a great question, Verna. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Joy,
Or-
this is Joy, and when I try and walk,
uh-huh.
it isn't pain, but in my hips, the side of my hips, it feels a burning sensation. Is there anything I can do, or I don't know if it's the way I walk, and
Right. So what happens in Qigong for you? How do you feel? Do you have
well, I felt very relaxed doing this, and I was thinking if I maybe did some of the hip movements that you were showing before I try and walk, because
Right.
I tend to stop and just go in the house because I don't know, it upsets me, this burning feeling, and
Yeah.
older people can walk further than me, and that upsets me a lot. So
Right. Well, what I would suggest is doing that hip stretch. I'm actually, you're going to get notes after this class, and I'm working on I had some notes from before, but now I've made more comprehensive list of there's some other movements that are very helpful outside of Qigong for retraining the body. So I'm going to put links to that. But I would say just really warming up your hips and your legs, before you go out walking. The calf stretch is a good one before walking. You can also do, I'll just show you sitting down. So some people can get on the floor and some people can't. And wherever you are, you always practice where you are. So you can do this in a chair. I'm in a low stool right now to kind of show you. But sometimes these kinds of exercises, which I will usually do on the floor, I'm up on a stool just to show you so you can see better, but also the possibilities, is doing these stretches sitting in a chair where you're opening up the hips, or the leg stretch where you go like that. So I would try some gentle stretching before you go out. And stretching is like Qigong. It doesn't work overnight, but slowly it will start opening things up for you. Beyond that, if you're still having that, you might want to have it checked out, by a physical therapist or a chiropractor, whoever you would see. And generally burning is a sign of inflammation. So, there may be something structurally out, and, sometimes I know people will take, and I can't prescribe anything, people will take anti-inflammatory drugs, but there's also natural things like turmeric and other things. So just look into that is what I would say. But, usually these things, they won't entirely go away if we ignore them. So it's good that you're noticing and, take care of that. But also just, another thing to say for anyone that has either like a chronic condition or like something's just coming up now, like you're noticing recently, if you come back and practice regularly, the Qi, the life force energy is it's very mysterious. It's going to start healing things. And you don't have to tell it. It's like this natural intelligence in the body that knows how to heal things. Like when we get a cut, how does the body know to form a scab and knit itself together? Well, there's specific mechanisms. There's clotting in the blood. You can look up the medical reason, but what makes that happen? And so like getting your Qi stronger helps with wound healing. Your wounds will heal anyway, but they'll heal faster when the Qi is working. So
thank you.
yeah. So let's check our time here, see if there's any other. Okay. Let's just close here with a movement. I appreciate your questions, and I hope that others get benefit from my answers too. So let's close with a simple movement called showering Qi. It's a little bit like what we did with the sound healing. And what this is going to do is clear and cleanse our whole energy field. So besides the energy in our body, we actually have a field of energy, which there's certain instruments that can actually detect what that is. But like you can sense your own energy field when like let's say you're in an atmosphere and somebody's like too close to you, like it's uncomfortable. It's like they're in your field here, even though they might not be touching you, they're just too close. That's because we have a natural kind of energy field and boundary around us. And it's beautiful, you know, when we want to hug someone or let somebody close to us or be intimate. But in general, mostly we want to have a strong, clear energy field around our body. So starting here, bend the knees, inhale, turning at the shoulder, another inhale up, and don't bring the hands together. They're just gonna, the fingertips are gonna be a little bit apart, like I'll just show you down here. They're just apart. And then we come down through the field like this. Let's do one more. So inhaling up, turn the hands overhead, fingertips don't touch. And here we're moving our hands, we're showering the chi down like a shower of cleansing energy through the field. We touch towards the earth. We come back to here, and then just to close, left hand and right hand covers. Let's finish our practice with a simple bow. Thank you so much for practicing with me. And I'll come forward closer to the camera and just say a couple of more things, and if there's any last minute things you want to share. Okay, let me get onto my other camera. Okay. Yeah, so this was Qigong for beginners, and I teach this twice a week. I teach it on Monday early evening, 5 p.m. Eastern, and this time, spacing out here, Thursday morning. I also teach another class called Get Moving with Qigong, where there's a little less explanation in the beginning, and you can do either one interchangeably. That class is not advanced really, it's just a little different, and I teach some sequences in it. And I teach that on Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And I also teach Ageless Grace, which is a whole other kind of movement class, done to music, done for your brain. It's done in a chair, and it's fun and playful. So that's Ageless Grace. I teach that on Wednesday and Saturday on Get Set Up. So I think that's our time here. Anything before we go? Let me see what's in the chat here. Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah. So I hope I answered your question. Yeah, so there's a lot online for Qigong, and actually in the notes, which I'm updating, there's a link to a Qigong video that I really like. If you start just going on like YouTube, you will find a dizzying amount of information. It's too much. So that's why there's one that I recommend there. And the other thing is to get the recording of this class and practice. So lots of different ways. And Qigong is like maybe even more than yoga. There are actually 84,000 yoga poses. You only see maybe 20 to 30 of them typically taught. In the same way, there's countless styles of Qigong. What I'm teaching you mostly is the Mogadao style, which you're not going to find online very much because the teacher doesn't want people to videotape that. And I also teach I'm teaching from the Radiant Lotus tradition, but there's lots of beautiful Qigong out there. And, you have to find what you like and what feels good in your body. So, yeah. So keep coming back and you'll learn Qigong right here. So, thank you all. Have a beautiful day. And I'm teaching again. So it's Thursday. I'm teaching again at 5 p.m. Eastern if you're up for another class. And there's no harm in that. If you feel good and you feel like you want to try more, it's not, again, it's not like a high impact workout. So see you in practice, I hope, and keep moving whatever you do. Okay, bye for now.